From the very first time that I heard,
It's football time in Tennessee.
I knew that sports would consume my life. I'm originally from Tennessee, but I grew up in Gator Country, a very hard thing to do. Despite that, my first and main love is the Tennessee Volunteers. Then, in 2023, I met a girl who worked for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I quickly fell in love with hockey. A Tampa Bay Lightning fan through and through. That same girl introduced me to women's basketball, and my life has never been the same. I even met Candace Parker. Then, in 2025, I got the opportunity to work for the Orlando Valkyries, a professional volleyball team. In my first season, they won the championship. Outside of my love for sports, I'm a dog mom, a college graduate, a sister, an aunt to many boys and a few girls, and a daughter. My love for sports led me to do this podcast, and I hope you guys will enjoy the journey just as much as I'm going to. Hello, and welcome to the Everything Sports Podcast with Tay. My name is Tay, and today we're joined by Nurys Barrera, who is the arena host for the Orlando Valkyries. It's a mouthful, guys. Sorry. The arena host for the Orlando Valkyries and the stadium host for the Orlando Pride, along with many other gigs that she does. But those are the main two that we're going to focus on today. How are you today, Nurys?
I'm doing fantastic, and an honor. Thank you so much for taking the time to put me on the mic and hanging out with you. So I'm
It's
here
an
for
honor
it.
to have you on. I just want you guys to know who are watching, who have been watching. We were supposed to have Nurys sometime last year, but Nurys is so freaking busy, and she's one of those people that's like so insanely busy that she's finally has some free time, and we caught up when the season started for the Orlando Valkyries this season, and I went up to her and I said, hey, do you have some free time? And she was like, not right this second, but I will in a couple months, so let's get it on the books.
We almost
And
pushed it to next week because
we almost pushed this to next week because she's so busy. She got a gig hosting something for Florida Citrus Sports, and so it was going to push it back. And yeah, so it's an honor to have you here, and I'm really excited. I have some great questions for you today, and hopefully we'll just have some good conversation, and it'll be a lot of fun. So thank you for being on today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. First question I'm going to start out with is, did you dream of becoming an arena host or stadium host, or did you have different goals as a kid and this just kind of came about?
I am so glad that you asked me this question. No one's ever asked me this.
Really?
Okay. So, because, whenever people are like, oh, how'd you get here? Like, that's a whole different story as to
that's a totally different story than what I just asked you. Yeah, of course.
So when I was in college, I went to Florida Atlantic University.
Yes.
And my major, I graduated as a broadcast journalist. That's my bachelor's degree. And along the lines of me being in college and, doing my internships, which shout out to ESPN. I was down there in West Palm. I also did some filming and directing for a charter airline, which we'll cross that bridge.
Okay.
But I was attending the what do you call those homecoming game things, themes. Like, it's not the actual homecoming dance. It was what is the name of it? I'm drawing a blank. Like when there's the games that happen, you bring out all the basketball players and they get introduced, and then
it's the homecoming game. They just call it the homecoming game.
Okay.
So are you talking about a specific team or
for Florida Atlantic University?
For Florida Atlantic, yeah, it's just the homecoming game. So you have the homecoming dance that goes with it, but it's literally just the homecoming game. Is what most football teams call it. It's because it's for football, right?
It was a football, but really it was for basketball for that specific season. For that.
Okay, yeah. So it's just the homecoming game.
Yeah. And I just remember at the time I was with the television production classroom, and I was assigned to cover that homecoming get together, pep rally. That's the word I'm looking for. It was
a pep rally. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's definitely different. I didn't think about that. Sorry.
That's what it was. So it was going to be like a whole thing. They brought out the basketball players, the cheerleaders, the dancers, and everyone at this time come out, and so on and so forth. And so I went out there, and I will never forget it. I was covering the event for the Owl TV News, and I saw this guy who eventually became one of my best friends. He was on the mic, and he was just getting involved. I'm over here just hey guys, I'm Nurys out here for Owl TV. Let's take a look at the homecoming,
Yeah.
And then as I'm covering the event, I see this guy on the court just being like, you just did an incredible dunk. What are you going to do when it comes to game day? And I'm just like, That's so fun.
Yeah.
So then I took the time to pull him aside. I was like, hi, my name's Nurys. Nice to meet you.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. We became homies. And I kid you not, he was the one that created the visuals, the foundation of me just being like, I sat there and I said, I want to do that. And
Yeah.
then, but I never pursued it. Instead, I just stayed committed with journalism. I thought I was going to be a reporter. I was pursuing like top tier networks. I was like, I'm going to be on Good Morning America one day. Like the
You would be a
vision,
great
like,
reporter, by the way, just so you
yeah.
know. You're even better at what you do now, but you would be a great reporter too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd watch that news segment.
I put my heart and my soul into anything that I do, even if it's
You
not
do, yeah.
broadcasting. So, but I saw that, and he literally opened my vision as far as like not being limited to just TV production
Okay.
or radio production, because everything else expanded beyond that. But that was where I created the vision, the dream of being like, I want to do that one day.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
I love that. I love that you have somebody who inspired you to kind of go and do that. You know what I mean? And that you're still friends with them to this day. I think that's really cool that you kept that relationship and you kept in touch with that person, and that's awesome.
Thank you.
So my next question is, you also worked for Johnny's House, and is it 106.7 iHeartRadio?
Yes.
XL 106.7, which is actually, I think that's a local Brevard station, isn't that?
I think they reach. They're reaching.
They reach Brevard, right? Yeah, it is really ridiculous.
Like,
but we have it over here in Brevard. I grew up listening to that station. Once I was allowed to listen to other than like Christian music, that was one of the stations that I grew up listening to.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I believe it, because when I would drive to South Florida to visit my family, the station, I would just put on XL 106.7. I'm like, let me see how far this reaches.
Yeah.
And I'd be driving an hour and 20 minutes, and I could still hear XL 106.7. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So they got a strong.
They got a crazy reach, yeah. So it's over here, it's like 106.7, 107.1.
Yeah.
And then the country stations are like 92.3 and 102.7 and 97.5. And, you know, like those are just the main stations that I grew up listening to. So it's really cool that you got to work for them. But so you did radio hosting for a while. Do you think you'll go back to it? Do you think you'll get back into it?
So my motto in life is never say never.
Okay.
Because I would always kind of say and mention, like, it's unfortunate that radio is dying, but it'll never completely die.
No,
like,
it won't.
Quite literally, in order for us to stay communicated, broadcasting must exist, which means radio will never completely be dead.
Correct.
But it's a slowing, dying platform only because streaming is available, podcasts, on demand, visuals, YouTube, like all these competitors have been rising. But that doesn't take away from the fact that sometimes people just want to be organic and just pop on the radio station while they're driving because they don't want to do the whole electronic stuff. Never say never is the reason why I say that, is because with Johnny's House, and let me tell you what a blessing that platform has been for me. It opened it expanded my ability to understand my place and my path and my calling. Because before Johnny's House, I was a journalist, and I was a bilingual journalist for One Blood, the nonprofit organization Blood Bank. And when I got drafted, when I got recruited into Johnny's House, I was like, I went from being like formal to reporting day and night to being like, yo, good morning, everybody. Let's get loose. So I was able to really just let this side of me come out.
Which really opens up the door for your arena hosting and your stadium hosting, because that's totally what you are.
Yeah.
So did you start doing that after Johnny's House, or was that?
So I actually got into Johnny's, like, it's almost like, grab your popcorn, folks. Like, I got to tell you the story because it all just kind of like bleeds in together. So as I mentioned, I was a bilingual journalist for One Blood, and I started in South Florida. So I was covering the Tri-Counties. And then at the time, the pandemic had been a serious thing.
Yeah.
So I was feeling quite lonely with my position, with my job, because it was me on the streets. It was me doing the camera and the one-man band, and I do, edit videos and this and that. So I called my boss and I was like, listen, let me move to Orlando, because that's where headquarters is. I was like, let me move to Orlando so that I can like see people. And then, she was like, but we need you in South Florida. I was like, no, go to South Florida whenever. Like, my family's here. I don't need a per diem. Like, let me know, I'll go. And so it was granted. So
Mhm.
back in, I'll never forget it, January 3rd, 2022 was the day that my foot landed and started to root into Orlando. And I was the journalist here in Orlando and South Florida for One Blood. And at the time, now mind you, I don't know anybody here. When I moved
Yeah.
here, I didn't know a single person.
That's how I
So
felt when I moved there.
yeah, I felt lonely. I was lost. I was finding myself driving to South Florida every weekend because I didn't know what to do with my time.
That's what I
And I
used
was
to do is I used to drive back to Brevard County every weekend because it's
right.
like, what do you do? And
I
I
was
had my fiance there, and it still was like we don't. There was nobody here that we know, you know.
it's scary. It's scary when you just want to feel inclusive, but there's like nothing to do, and you're like, sometimes you don't want to go for a walk by yourself. You want to go to the
Yeah.
beach with your family because that's what I'm used to. So I would drive all the time, and then one day I said, I got to stop doing this. And I don't know what my algorithm on my social media read and understood the assignment. I got a pop up notification, come audition for the Orlando Magic dance team. I was like,
Nice.
okay, I'll do that. Why not? I ended up getting, instead of the dance team, I got the position as the 321 hype squad,
Yeah.
which I immediately found my family. Journalists a day, Orlando Magic hype at night, and I made all my friends. You never call me going to South Florida unless it was for One Blood doing a job. But at the time, now this is where the blessings quite literally were just expanding. I give every credit to my dearest friend, my brother for life, DJ D Strong.
Okay.
He is the Orlando Magic MC,
Okay.
and he knew.
So what you do for the Valkyries and the Pride, right? He does that for the Magic. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, he's got a strong platform. People know that he's the OG MC for Magic, and he just saw me doing the dang thing. You know, he saw that I was good on a microphone, that I was good editing videos and social media, and I'm an outgoing person and I do all the things. And so he pulled up to me one day. He's like, "Hey, listen, Johnny's house is hiring." So I threw your name in the bag. This man, the program director, might contact you if you're interested. I go, "What's a Johnny's house?" I had no idea what a Johnny's house was because you have to
I
keep in
didn't
mind,
either until I met you.
I came from South Florida.
Yeah,
So my Johnny's house is actually Elvis Duran in the morning show.
I've heard of
Which
them.
it's the same concept. It's an
Yeah.
IB radio station. It's a morning show. They're based off New York, but they syndicate to South Florida.
I've watched some of their interviews online. I know who they are.
Oh yeah, the man is in the Radio Hall of Fame and everything. So I was like, "What's at Johnny's house?" And he goes, "It's a morning show." And I go, "You mean like Elvis Duran in the morning show?" I was like, "Put me in the bus, throw me in, coach, let's go." So I was pumped. I mean, you can hear from Johnny himself. This man had to write a letter to top tier executives to be like, because it was like during a hire freeze kind of thing, but they needed the fourth chair filled.
Yeah.
And so he did everything in his power to write a letter to say, we need this girl, we got to fill in the fourth chair. It's just how the show flow works.
Yeah.
Is we're hitting all different types of diversity and community. Because if you look at it, Johnny's African American.
Yeah.
Ryan is Caucasian, married. Ray is she's not just gay, which I'm straight, a female, kids. I don't got kids. She's Italian, I think Caucasian in there, and I'm Hispanic. You know, so we were just
it's all over the place. You hit all of it. Yeah.
So it's like, make it make sense. We got to fill in this fourth chair. So after 3 very, very long and stressful months of staying quiet and praying, I got the job, which
that's awesome.
And I tell you, I was trying to juggle all these hats. I went from trying to be a journalist to doing Orlando Magic to then Johnny's house. And it was just so much to the point where I had to throw in the towel as a journalist. And it was a tough one. It was very tough to let go of One Blood.
Well, yeah, because that's what you thought you were going to do with the rest of your life.
I
can imagine that was like really hard to be like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to pursue this thing that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it because you just told me like 10 minutes ago that, journalism was the route that you were going to take. So yeah, I can imagine that was pretty difficult. So good for you for taking that leap. And anybody who's watching, honestly, like take Nurys as an example, because if you take that leap, it can lead to good things. You may not be with Johnny's house anymore, but you still have like those bonds with the people. You still have, you had the experience. And now if you decide to one day, could take that to another radio station if you wanted to, or even maybe one day back to Johnny's house. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that could be like the thing that you you have the experience now because you took that leap of faith. And that's the big thing that I want to point out.
And that's the thing too, because with the never say never, like, it's not that I would never go back to radio. It's just not in my current vision.
Yeah, of course.
And I do have goals. Like,
I know you do.
Let me make that so clear. And like, and these are, I have aspirations, I have dreams, I have goals that most people, unless you're like deep in my circle, most people don't know what that is, nor do I ever plan on sharing it until I climb that ladder.
That's fair.
Moving in silence is so important, and it protects your
I agree.
But the reason why I say never is because even though radio's not like in my frontal lobe, like if the offer was available to me, I'd be like, yeah, let's find out, let's take a seat, let's talk about this. But that's also considering that if I did specifically like a morning show, you know what kind of spine you got to have to wake up Monday through Friday at 3:45 in the morning?
I know. It's crazy.
3:45 in the morning?
I know.
It'll teach you a lesson to go to sleep early. And I just don't, like, sometimes I'd question, like, how do you do this with kids, girl?
I know. One of the part-time jobs I'm working right now requires me to get up at 4:30 in the morning on the days that I work. And I haven't done that since when I moved back home from Tennessee, because I moved to Tennessee after high school because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And when I moved back home from Tennessee, I took a job with UPS during a seasonal time, and I had to be up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock then to do the UPS job, because you have to be there super early to help load the trucks, and then you ride as like a driver helper or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the seasonal job that I was doing. And so I haven't done that since then. And that was like 2013, 2014. So we're talking like 10 plus years since I get up that early for anything. Like even when I was working out at the cruise line and I had to be there at 6:30, I didn't get up till like 5:30. So that's like a whole extra hour that I was like enjoying. And now it's like 4:30 just because like my body now as an older person, not that I'm not old by any means, but now as an older person than I was 10 plus years ago, my body now requires that time to like wake up. So I don't know how people who are our age get up at like 3:45 in the morning, Monday through Friday. I don't know how you did that every week. Like, I'm impressed by you because it's freaking nuts just to do 4:30 3 or 4 days a week right now. So,
oh my God, I'd have to say out loud, I'm like Mamba mentality, because Kobe got up at 4:30.
Yeah, he did.
Practice before practice. So yeah,
it's a good mentality to live by, though, honestly. So, I mean, yeah, that's a good one. So, I'm going to pull out my phone just because I had written down a couple other questions for you, and I am drawing a blank right now because we're having such good conversation that everything else is kind of like falling out of my head.
For everybody that's tuning in right now, just a heads up, I told Tay, I was like, because we were talking about the timing of things, and I was like, you got to stop me. I will continue talking.
We're having such good conversation that I don't want to stop you because like you're sharing such great stories. And there's like some people out there who are going to watch this who use it to get to know you or whatever they use it for, but who may not know these things about you. Yeah. And like there's got to be even people that you're close with in your life who have maybe never asked you the first question that I asked you. And so may not know that answer, it's crazy that like some people just don't think of those things, and they ask you that question of, why did you get into it? Well, that's different than what I asked.
Like, if I can even stretch on that, because, I came to Orlando as an opportunist because I just wanted growth. I wanted change.
Right, yeah.
Like, I felt, and people, because again, pandemic. So when I moved up here, not once was I like, I'm gonna do MC reporting. Like, no, I was pursuing journalism, reporting, and all of these things. MCing. And that's the thing I want people to understand. Like, I wasn't handed this. Like, I was just being my most authentic self, expressing myself, trying to find my community and my place and my happiness that's going to fill my cup. Because in South Florida, I had been doing the work well before. Like, when I was in college, I interned for ESPN Radio. And I was the manager for Owl Radio, and I was in Owl TV production. So in college, I was already doing these things. Mind you, my mom and a little bit, and I love this woman. All right. I love her. I will always do what she wants, and I will take care of her.
She might watch this. Be careful what you say.
No, but she was the one that was like, you should do medicine. You should do something that's going to pay money. Because my mom comes from.
My mom's the same way. So it's just the generation that they come from.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, those are And I love my mom. She just wanted the best out of me. And I understand she just wanted me to make money because it is hard in the streets as a reporter. Trust me. As
I
someone who
believe
just
you.
graduated out of college, like, we don't make money.
I
Not
believe
even
you.
in radio. We don't make money. We gotta hustle and build our reputation to get there. But anyway, it's distractions. It's self-doubt. And it's hard to persevere these, especially when you're young and you're just like, no, I really want to be a reporter. I really like editing videos. So I was
When you have other
consistent.
people in your ears, yeah, it is really
Yeah.
hard.
And I expanded. It wasn't just me interning for ESPN. I also picked up this internship with a charter aviation company out in Fort Lauderdale. They needed a camera person for social media and like a director. And I was like, that sounds like me. Why not? Let's find out together. I love editing videos, and I fit all the criterias. I can edit from such and such software. I can write scripts. I can do this. So I was already doing all the work. They wanted to actually offer me a full-time job when I graduated. I said, it's not for me. Like, I'm glad I got this, but my line is
I got the experience, but that's not what I'm chasing. Yeah.
Yeah. And even out of college, I was with a company, a privately owned media company down in West Palm Beach. And I was with them for 4 years. I created a TV segment for one of the TV channels that they own. They own like 20 channels. So I worked specifically with about like 2 of them. One of them was like pop culture, if you will. And so I created a TV segment for that show, TV show for that TV channel. And I just kept, like Mario, I was eating my mushrooms and I was like, let's see what else I can do. And I worked with Palm Beaches TV. I was
collecting the coins and all the achievements. Yeah.
All the things. Yeah. And then that's when I needed to grow more. And when I was with Orlando with One Blood, I was like, this is good, but I need people interaction. And then when I came here, when I tell you, being an opportunist, don't ever stop yourself or limit yourself.
You're like the queen of that. And honestly, like now you're involved in like Alt Social Club, which I don't know a whole bunch about, so we're not going to talk too much about it, but I do want to say, like, I see that you're constantly busy. Like I have you on all 3 of my Instagrams. And so I see you constantly busy. Doesn't matter which Instagram I open. I feel like always you're like right there first. Okay. Like you're like the first one there. It's there. And I'm always like, you know what is Nurys up to today? And honestly, like, it's not just your stuff that you're doing. It's in this journey leaving Johnny's house. You've been heavy on Instagram about your faith. And that's something that like I have, and I hope you're okay talking about that if that's okay with you. Okay. I have struggled with my faith a lot, and I'm sure you can understand why. Like, being a gay person in today's times with the Christian church is really hard. You have to find like that right church that like is fully accepting and isn't gonna, you know what I mean? Like there are churches out there like that. But unfortunately, I grew up in the Methodist church. And I don't know how much you know about that, but they actually recently had like a separation of the Methodist churches be over the topic of homosexuality. Like, there's some churches who stayed with the Methodist church, and there's a lot of churches who were Methodist churches who are no longer Methodist churches because they parted from the Methodist church because they didn't agree with it.
Yeah.
I play in my praise band at my Methodist church. My church is super like welcoming to me. They've always been loving. There has been a few people who have comments and have remarks, but I've grown up in that church since I was 2 years old, and I didn't come out until I was, I want to say 20 something. But I came out in a sermon at my church. Like, I got asked, have I never told you this story?
No.
Okay, I'm going to share this story with you and with everybody else. But so, the short version of the story is I got asked to do a Wednesday night service in place of my dad because my dad was supposed to they used to do like a Wednesday night, like lay leadership would preach instead of the pastor. And my dad got asked to do it, but he had a business trip. And so they reached out to me because I had done one before on like change, and it went really well. Everybody loved it. It was received really well. I was young, on the younger side, and so like it wasn't like as common for them to do that. But I'd been in that church since I was like 3 or 4 years old. So for them, it's like, we know this kid really well. We know she's gonna bring us something good. I'm a great writer. So like I can write out a speech, and then I follow that speech pretty much to the T just because of I like how I've written it, you know?
Yeah.
But so I got asked to fill in for my dad, and I had in the previous like 3 or 4 months been struggling with how to tell my family, how to tell everybody that I had figured out that I was gay. Now, mind you, I need you to understand first off that everyone around me already knew I was gay. It was just me who hadn't figured it out. Okay. So it was like, I literally like wrote my parents a letter, left it in my mom's car dashboard because she was going to take my sister to her college class that night. My sister was still in high school, but she took like a night class, at our local college. And so she was taking my sister. And so I left the letter. and ran to a friend's house and planned on staying there for the rest of the time because I didn't think my parents were going to accept me. They did. They literally wrote me back. My mom texted me and just said, I'm not going to call you. I'm just going to text you and tell you that we still expect you to treat women with respect. And as long as you can do that, we have no problem with this.
Let's go,
I know.
Mom and Dad.
I know. So then I had my whole like coming out tour because, and the only reason for it was that I had decided that in 2 weeks from that day, I was going to be giving a sermon on judgment to my church and then tell them how I understood that judgment, because for the past 3 or 4 months, I've been trying to figure out how to tell them all that I'm gay.
Yeah.
And so I went to my grandparents' house, and my granddad, God rest his soul, the first thing he said to me was, "Are you sure you're not bisexual?" And honestly, I think he just was like worried he wasn't going to get great grandchildren from me. But like I genuinely think that was his only concern. We never really talked about it, but we always laughed about it. Like it was an ongoing joke in the family. My cousin Billy was home from deployment, so we stopped at my aunt's house, and I told my aunt and her family, and my mom made it easier because I was struggling to get out the words "I'm gay" to the family. And she literally stepped back, and there's like a step down into the living room, and she fell into the coffee table. So it was like that big laugh made it easier for me to just be like, yep, so I'm gay. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Like it was a thing. But so then I gave a sermon at my church, and that's how I came out publicly. And I had a wall of people who already knew in the very back row, the last row of the church, that Wednesday night, who already knew that I was gay, who knew where I was going with this sermon. And I used some examples from the church that were happening right then and there. We had like this young autistic kid who's a teenager now. Maybe even a young adult at this point, honestly, now that I think about it. But so one of the older men in our church had told his family that they needed to leave because he was being too loud. And that didn't sit right with me. That felt like judgment, you know? So I called him out on it. And I said, hey, like, we have this family who's not been in church again until tonight. And it had been like 5-6 months since they'd been in church. But they came that night because they knew I was going to use their son in the message. And they ended up having a reconciliation and an apology from that old man who had said to them and was so hurtful to them. And so my sermon made people cry. I had a standing ovation. But like at the end, before I finished it all, I literally said, I understand this judgment that I've just explained to you because for the past 3 to 4 months, I've been trying to figure out how to tell you guys that I'm gay.
Oh my God, you're literally bringing tears to my eyes. I can't even, I have chills. Oh, what a beautiful story.
Yeah. Oh. And so it was really crazy, and it was a really wild experience. But because of it, growing up in that church and then having the Methodist divide over homosexuality and being still a part of that church, I've struggled with my faith because it feels like I don't have anywhere that I truly belong. When I grew up in youth group, my parents were the youth group leaders. And so I ended up going to Coastal Community, which is a church that's right down the road from my house. And it's a non-denominational church, but like truthfully, they preach like Southern Baptists and like that's their style, but it's non-denominational. And they were really accepting of me, even like in the young adult group after I came out. And so I had like that little home, but then the pastors changed, and then the congregation kind of changed, and then I just didn't feel as welcome there. And so when I came back home, after Holly and I split, during the Valkyries season last season, when I moved back home, I started going to my parents' church again, and they had just got a new pastor. His name was Chris, and he was amazing. He was wonderful. He was very accepting of me, always loving towards me. His daughter has come to multiple Valkyries games, and she always runs to say hi to me because she loves me. I've known her for years now. You know what I mean? She's just great. But he was the first person to make me feel welcome in my own church again. Yeah. And his messages resonated with me. Well, then, of course, like the Methodists do, they got a new pastor. And I was really nervous about it because it's like pastors we had previously before Chris is the one who, yes, he supported me with me coming out. He gave me approval to give the message because like I did go to him for approval just to make sure like I wasn't stepping on any toes. Mm-hmm. But he didn't really make me feel welcome in the church. You know what I mean? Like as a whole, like after that moment. And so we got a new pastor, and I was really nervous about it. And her first Sunday, she comes in, and you can tell that she's going to be somebody that I am going to get along with really well, just off of her first message. Yeah. Like she's on maternity leave right now, and she's been messaging me once a week just to be like, hey, how are you doing? Because she knew that, you know, the thing that we talked about ahead of time had been happening. Yeah. At church. And so she's been messaging me to check on me. She's been like, is there anything I can do for you? You know, like, yeah. whatever, you know, like, and so we hit it off really well. And for the first time, again, I feel very welcome in the church.
Yeah.
But you being so open about your faith as such a public figure really kind of helped me kind of be more open to faith being an okay thing again. And I wanted to tell you that because it's meant a lot to me.
Girl, everybody needs Jesus.
I know, but you don't see people in your position who are like, not necessarily famous people, but like out there people who have a huge following, and you know what I mean?
Community is what I like to say.
Yeah, people who are involved in the community. You don't see those people using their platform for that kind of thing, and you have. And so when I check on your Instagram stories just to see what Nurys is up to today, because you're always living in a fun life and doing something fun, every so often I come across something about faith instead, and that has helped me a lot. So I just wanted to share that with you because, you know, it's been a long journey to get me back to playing in the praise band and enjoying church and all those things, but you played a small part in that. So thank you.
No, and I'm so grateful that you recognized it, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like as if I haven't thought about doing a post and I was like, is that too religious? Maybe I'll put
See, and I'm too afraid to do it. So you're also kind of helping me reach that point where it's like I posted about like me playing in the church praise band and the hockey goal. I don't know if you saw that video.
I saw the video.
I'll have to put the video in the podcast, just the first part so they can see. But like the short version of the story for the people who don't know is I watched the gold medal game for the men during the church service, and while I was up on stage playing my bass, and Jack Hughes scored the winning goal, and I just threw my hands up in the air in the middle of playing a song, and then I just cried. Like, I mean, how can you not cry over something so awesome, especially as a huge sports fan like I am? Like, hockey is my second favorite sport. College football has always been my first love, but hockey has recently become like almost equivalent with college football. And to see something like that after, you know, the first time in 46 years, how can you not? And then having just watched the women do it like a week prior, like the whole thing just made me so emotional. I literally didn't even finish the song. I just cried through the rest of the song, and just that's why my dad came over at one point in the video. I don't know if you watched that part, but he came over at one point in the video to kind of check what was going on, why I wasn't playing, because he was like looking at my phone and he was like, oh, okay. You could just see the guys celebrating, and he realized like, you're done. I'm not worrying about that anymore.
Great time to be watching them win while you're and you're like literally playing like music.
Well, we went into overtime during the service. During the sermon, we went into overtime during the sermon, and I'm sitting next to my mom, and I have one headphone in, and she's like, you can't take that up there with you. And I'm like, I'm taking that up there with me. Like, the headphone's staying in, the phone's going up there. Like, you're just lucky the headphone is in, because I've had like 6 or 7 people ask me what the score is throughout the church service when I went to go to the bathroom or like to get a drink or something. Like, I'm telling you, everybody here is invested. So if you go all the way to the end of the video, I tell the church, when the announcement section pops up, I tell them all that we won gold for the first time in 46 years. And the pastor's mic was still on, and he just gives a very subtle amen at the end of my announcement. Like, he was just so excited, and that was like his way of reacting to it. And it was really adorable. So, I mean, it was crazy, but I've started posting things like sharing that kind of stuff where I'm like in the church praise band, where I before wasn't comfortable doing that. And that's partially because of you. So thank you.
No, like, let me tell you, the reason why I have no shame in the game when it comes to like, especially nowadays, posting about my faith is because, and I love talking about Jesus. Let me tell you,
I know,
because he saves. That's just what it is. And like, for those of you that are just like, oh, you know, it happens. People are like, oh, we got religious people. It's like, see it as you want. You want to call it the universe. You want to call it manifestation. You want to call it the higher power. You want to call it God. You want to call it Jesus. At the end of the day, he saves. And what I mean by that is, like, as I like to remind people, I'm human. All right. I'm not perfect, nor will I ever be. But when I went through my struggles, and I have faced chronic depression, anxiety, and it's scary when you have to turn that off as quickly as you can because you're about to be on the mic. Like, I'll never forget it. One of the hardest games that I ever worked for the Orlando Valkyries was the second season, last one. And 20 minutes before I was about to get on the floor on the court to do my first hit, I was going through just a battle, private and with someone else, and it just...
I remember this game. I know exactly which game you're talking about.
Bro, it was...
I checked on you that game because I could tell you were off. Do you remember that?
Bro,
You were coming out of the bathroom and I was like, hey, are you okay? And you were like, yeah, I'm just going through something right now.
The biggest ball in my throat. I wanted to just cry. My
Yeah.
anxiety was like through the roof. And I was like, just get it together. Just get it together. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. You'll
You
deal
went
with
out
it.
there and killed it.
Bro, I was just like, and then you have to smile and pretend like
You
nothing
do, yeah.
happened. And like that will mess with your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
So doing all of this, facing the ups and the downs of my emotions and having to deal with the everything is fine. Like I don't need to talk about it. But then it's like once I found myself, there are times where, because I wasn't religiously going to church, like I would just go pop up from time to time when I was like,
right, yeah.
I need to fill up my spiritual cup. You know, like I feel a little empty. Like I got my workout in. I had a good meal today. My house is clean. Something is missing. I can't sit down and read a book because I have too much anxiety or I feel depressed. I'm like, let me just go to church. So that's how it would happen a little bit here, a little bit there until like I would say last summer. This is still very recent in my world. Last
Me too.
I was facing a very serious type of depression, and it's one of those where I just couldn't show it. I couldn't because I was on the mic, I was in front of the camera, I was on the court, on the pitch, doing all these things, and I would just hide it and hide it. And then one day I just started being consistent. I picked up the Bible. I started reading. I needed calm. I needed peace to enter my life. And so when a drastic shift came to my life where God pulled me into the direction that I needed to go to, I said, this is my calling. This is why God saves, why Jesus saves. If you really put the intentions of your manifestations into the universe, into the higher power, into God, into the prayers, into the things that really will pull you into your pursuit of happiness, when you let God and when you let go and let God and you move forward in that direction, in the direction of your intuition, aka I call it the Holy Spirit, and you really let that drive you and navigate you, right? Because people will be like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, feel it. Just take a moment and feel it. Journal.
There's a song that goes, let
Right.
go, let God. Honestly,
Yo,
like that's exactly what you're talking about right there.
I kid you not. I got within like August of last year, I got baptized at the time that I needed to, and I didn't know that it was going to be for me. Like my pastor, Pastor Kevin from Calvary, Orlando,
I
he
know
was
exactly
like,
where that's at, yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Huge church.
I was sitting there all the way in the back. I'm like crying. I'm listening to the word and I'm just like praying in my head and listening to the message. And then he goes, don't forget, in 3 weeks, we're going to be doing baptism. And I was like, I said in my head, I was like, oh, I wish. It's just not my time. It's not my time. I need to be more committed to God and show my worth, if you will. I was like, it's not my time to get
You
back.
know that's not how that works, right?
And
Just
then,
for people watching, making sure we know that's not how that works.
yeah, no, but then the next
Okay.
came, and then he was like, don't forget, in 2 weeks, we're doing baptism. And my spirit was slowly getting filled up more and more. And then the next week, don't forget, we got 1 more week. And I was like, nope, this is for me. I'm going to get baptized because
Good for
God
you,
is
girl.
saving me right now. I need to push myself past the limits of what I need to do to change my path and really just let go and let God. And let me tell you, when I got baptized, if you play it back, my video that I put together, I was in line. You know, I told the staff member that was on the floor, the volunteer, I was like, hi, would you do me a favor, please? Can you please record this? And she's like, no problem. And I go in and I'm just like grateful. I'm praying in my head and I'm just like super grateful that, because there was like 4 pastors up there. And I was like, oh, what are the odds of Pastor Kevin baptizing me? I was like, I really hope it's him. And it was. And I was like,
that's awesome.
And then I go and I get into the water and I just remember feeling numb. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, let's do this. We're good to go. And he goes, are you ready for this? And I'm just like, mm-hmm. And then he goes, I'm going to pray for you. And I go, okay. Oh, about to cry. And he started saying the word. And I went from like, oh, this is just something that I need to do because it's my time, to just being like, I'm about to step into this new chapter. It was like, I felt that higher power calling me and just being like, you're going to be as ready as you can ever be. And I need you to trust me. And as soon as I got dipped into that water and I listened to the message and I came up, I just remember this feeling of, this overwhelming feeling of pressure and weight that I have been carrying for so many months just wash away. And I went to the back, when you dry up, I went to the back and I sat down and I just cried and I cried and I cried. And I was like, Lord, I'm ready. I'm ready. Do what you got to do. Whatever the calling is, I'm here for it. Give me the next chapter in my life. I need to move forward. So when I tell you God saves in so many ways, there is no shame in the game in talking about how this man will touch your heart and the Holy Spirit will come into you. So it takes time. So it didn't happen overnight.
No, it does not.
Yeah.
I want to share something with you that most of the people who follow the show know, because they've known me long enough, but I don't think I've ever shared it with you, because I want you to know that you're not alone in your depression battle. I was diagnosed bipolar when I was 11 years old.
Oh my.
And so I've battled depression and then mania and then depression and then mania and then depression and then mania my entire life. And it's not something that ever goes away because it's chemical imbalance in your brain, but you find the right meds and it works and everything. And I want to give a shout out to my therapist and my PCP, and because they're like, I wouldn't be here without them. I don't trust. My therapist of 19 years passed away suddenly in 2023. And yeah, 2023 or 24. 23, I think it was 23. But anyway, so she passed away. She had cancer. She didn't tell anybody. She just fought the battle silently, and it was her second time having cancer, and she passed away. That's why I wear this jersey occasionally, just to remember her. It has her last name and my favorite player's number on it, because there was a time that I told her that we got a new player and his name was JoJo. And she thought I was screwing with her. Like, she didn't understand that this grown man who skates on knives could have a nickname like JoJo, and that's what his teammates call him, and it'd just be content that way. You know what I mean? So, so I had that therapist, and because I lost her, I didn't really trust anybody after that. Yeah. But I have this really amazing therapist now, the one that I shared with you, actually. But I owe a lot to her. She has also been really a big influence on my faith and everything. She's a Christian therapist, and she's been a really big influence on my faith, as Shelly used to be as well. But like, Lori really has opened my eyes to a lot of things, and like, it's the little things that she'll be like, that's God intervening right there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like my meds, we've been fighting a prior authorization, and I finally got the approval. And it was at a time where, like, at a point where, like, we didn't know what else we were going to do about getting me my meds. And it, like, literally came through that day. And she's like, there's God, just like, he's got his finger on the button. He's taking care of things, So shout out to my therapist, Lori, and also my PCP Tam. I really wouldn't be here without them, because I don't just trust anybody with my mental health stuff, because I've been dealing with it for so long. And so when my psychiatrist retired, Tam took over my meds, and it's been a real big blessing. So you got to find the right people to help you through that stuff. But if you're struggling with that kind of thing, reach out to somebody or reach out to a doctor or whatever. Like,
talk to your friends.
They're here to help. Talk to friends.
Talk to family.
Talk to the right friends. Don't just pick anybody. Pick somebody you trust, because I learned that at a young age. Like, you can talk to somebody, and the first time I ever felt suicidal, I told a friend about it, and they kind of just ignored me. And I was like genuinely suicidal. And so like, it wasn't until I told the next friend that they were like, oh shit. And that's how I like found out who my friends were. You know what I mean? Like, they're the people who stuck with me through those moments and through those things as a teenager, So talk to the right friends, seek help, that kind of thing. But I wanted you to know that you're not alone. I fully understand what you're going through with that. And if you ever need somebody to talk to as just a friend, like, I'm here, because I've been dealing with it for 20 years. So
make me cry, girl.
Yeah, you're not alone in that.
And I'm so glad that you're here today and every day.
Thank you.
You are so loved. So loved, Tay. Like,
I appreciate that.
Look at you.
So are you. I appreciate that, though.
You're filling your cup, your life, your call.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I think that this was a really great session for both of us. So I hope to have you back on the future, because I know you have some things coming up that you can't yet talk about. So I do want to talk about those when it's time. So we'll have to schedule time for that. So make sure you pin me in the books, okay?
Yes, we will make this happen again.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. I want to give a shout out to everybody who supports, guys. Subscribe, follow us on Instagram, ESP with Tay. We're also on Twitter, ESP with Tay. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. This was just a really great opportunity to speak with you, and I think this was probably one of my favorite episodes yet. So thank you.
And just putting it out there, because it is Women's History Month.
Yes.
We are out here thriving, guys. All right.
Yeah.
You need to go and dap your girls that are on the field, on the pitch, on the court, that are doing the dang thing. And I'm only speaking on behalf of this because it's a sports podcast.
No, you're good.
women out here are really hustling and busting their butts and doing the thing, whether it is us female on the mic when it comes to anything related to sports, or just like how uh the girls that are playing on whatever, the women's pride, the women's Valkyries, like from high school to college to pro, like take the time to give them the respect and give them their flowers. And
Agreed.
that's what I want to do for you, Tay. If
Thank
it wasn't for you and the platform that you have created, this is what communication is all about. You're connecting community with people who are involved outside or inside that community.
Thank you.
Are bridging people together. So I want to give you your flowers because you are also doing the dang thing. And I just want to.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So
much love, my friend.
you.
Listen, I do want to also share that our next guest is going to be a very exciting one as well. She is also from the Orlando Valkyries, but she is a player. Courtney Schwann will be our next guest, and it will be in April. I'm so excited about this. Courtney and I are going to be doing a signed volleyball giveaway during that episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that episode and the rules of how that works. So thank you, Nurys, for being here today. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out.
Okay. Thank you, Tay. I appreciate it. Bye, guys.